Okay, let's talk about the NBA. I want to talk about the true title contenders. So we've just had the All-Star break. Um, Obviously, everyone was off. The NBA returns tonight. Most teams will play tomorrow. I want to talk about who I think could truly win an NBA championship this season. I have 4 teams in the East and 4 teams in the West, and then a couple teams that I think could emerge as title contenders later on in the year. Really just one, honestly, in mind. I should just make it a 15 in the West, but real quick, we'll rapid fire through these as we wrap up the show here. In the East, Cleveland, obviously, top seed. Their roster is built incredibly well. They have 2 forwards and 2 guards, really. They have 2 big men on the floor at a time, and they have 2 elite guards. They play very well with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley on the floor at the same time. They also play well with Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland in the backcourt at the same time. And then you have a fifth guy that you can kind of plug and play. I really liked it when, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but Jordas Niang got traded away. I liked it when he was there. But still, whoever that fifth guy on the floor is, they can rotate through that fifth guy, and you understand that the backcourt's going to be solid no matter what. You understand that the front court's going to be solid no matter what. And then you understand that you have a fifth guy to kind of add some flavor out of timeouts and add some flavor throughout the game. Rotate a little bit, play the hot hands for that fifth player on the court when you understand that Donovan Mitchell is going to be great, Darius Garland's going to be great, and the front court is going to be strong in its own right. Cleveland's roster is built incredibly well. They don't go on losing streaks. They don't really lose games, right? They're the top seed for a reason. They are beatable, but they're far and away the number 1 team in the East and clearly a title contender. This might be their year, and if it's not, they still have next season, and they have the season after that. The Cleveland Cavaliers will be good for a while. I'm excited to see what they're able to do in the playoffs this year because this is a team that doesn't have a lot of playoff experience. Donovan Mitchell does, but nobody else really does on this team. That'll be interesting to watch, especially when the number 2 team in the East and my number 2 title contender is Boston, who won the championship last year, right? They have a ton of playoff experience. This core has been to the finals multiple times. They won the championship last season. Plenty of playoff experience. The Celtics are kind of quietly the 2 seed in the East. I don't think people are really fully aware of what the Celtics could be capable of, but they could be capable of a lot. Again, plenty of playoff experience. This is the team that won the championship last year. Absolutely cannot overlook them. The Celtics will be great. They're my number 2 contender in the East. Number 3 is the 3 seed in the New York Knicks. They really set themselves up for this in the offseason when they acquired Karl Anthony Towns. Him coming to New York really indicated to the world that the Knicks were ready to win now, and the Knicks were potentially ready to go win a championship. They have star power. They have a fantastic environment in Madison Square Garden. I've been there. They have a supporting cast that I love as well. The Knicks are really great. They have an opportunity to be fantastic and potentially go on a run and win the championship because the Celtics aren't the best team in the East anymore. The Cavaliers are, and they're a little bit vulnerable because they don't quite have the playoff experience that you may need to go on a run and win the championship. The Knicks set themselves up for success with the Cat acquisition, and they're setting themselves up for success in the regular season. If they round into form, they could win a championship. Indiana is the 4th one. We really don't know what Indiana is capable of. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year with effectively this exact same roster, but Bennedict Mathurin was out for the playoffs. Tyrese Halliburton was injured for some periods of time as well. We don't know what Indiana's capable of. They made the Eastern Conference Finals kind of injured and as underdogs, and now this is the same team coming back. They last year ended as the 6th seed. This year they're hovering around the 4. They're probably going to be the 4. Again, Mathurin would be here. Halliburton would be here. We don't know what they're capable of. If Indiana stays hot and if they stay healthy and they get hot towards the end of the year, Indiana could do anything, and that's what we saw last year as they knocked out the Bucks and they knocked out the Knicks as the lower seed, and then nearly took Game 1 and took control of the series against the Celtics as well. Again, injured, and then played the rest of that series for the most part without Hallie. Indiana, we don't know what they're capable of. They could be capable of a lot. They could have a very high ceiling. We just don't quite know the answer to that question yet. I'm excited to see Indiana, and I'm excited to see them be contenders in the East. In the West, far and away the top seed, 8 games above number 2, is the Oklahoma City Thunder. Shea is impossible to defend. They're returning to full strength. We're kind of starting to see what the real Thunder is with Chet Holmgren. This Thunder team, again, not a lot of playoff experience. Not any, if I'm not mistaken, for the most part, for the majority of their stars. That's a concern, but this is the best roster in the West most likely, and they have a very high chance of going far and winning it all. They're a title contender, undoubtedly. Memphis has a killer big 3. They're the best offense in the game. We talked about them earlier. Jaren Jackson Jr., John Morant, Desmond Bane, and, of course, the highest scoring offense in the league. They have an opportunity to be great. Denver's done it before. They can do it again, right, with Murray and Jokic. Wouldn't be surprised if Denver pulled out a victory. And then the Lakers potentially have an opportunity to win a championship in year one with Luka Doncic. That's a long shot, but it's possible, right? I don't know if year one is quite the answer, but they'll round into form. They got some big games coming up this season. It's a long shot, but the Lakers could do it. And then the other team that I wanted to mention was the Timberwolves, because we saw Anthony Edwards in the playoffs last year. They gave away Karl-Anthony Towns. That was strange. They didn't win a title last year, and now it feels like they deserve it because they really could have last season. Then they gave up Karl-Anthony Towns. Their fans deserve a championship. They were disappointed by the Vikings. They are probably going to be disappointed by the Twins. Minnesota deserves a championship, and I'd love to see Anthony Edwards get them there. Right now, I think they're the 7th seed. But if they're the 7th seed, they'd be playing the Grizzlies, right? And obviously you have the play-in tournament to deal with. But if the Timberwolves played the Grizzlies, that's anybody's game. And if they played the Rockets, I left the Rockets off this list. I don't think they're capable of winning a championship this year. If they played the Rockets, absolutely could be an upset, and they could be that 7-seed team like the Lakers in the past to go on a run and maybe end up winning a championship. The Timberwolves are an honorable mention in the West. I don't think there's a team like that in the East. I think it's a pretty clear. I probably could have put the Bucks on this list as well. It's a pretty clear 5 probably in the East in terms of teams that could actually win it all. And I think that the West is a little bit muddier because there was a lot more trades in the West, a lot more moving around. Who knows what the ceiling of the Warriors is, or the Timberwolves, or the Mavericks, or any of these teams, really. The Lakers, we don't really know what these teams' ceilings are and whether or not they're capable of winning a championship as a result. So I'm excited to see that play out. That's the short list of teams I think actually could win. Are Cleveland, Boston, and New York, and then on the other side it's OKC, Memphis, and Denver. The Lakers and the Pacers are kind of working their way into the mix. The Bucks are probably in there. The Timberwolves are in there as well. It's hard to keep this list short. It feels like a third of the league can win a title every single time we get around to the playoffs, and that's part of why the playoffs are so much fun. Shorter list is 6, and it's just the top 3 in each conference. And then once we actually get to the playoffs, we'll have a much more serious conversation about how they're going to play out and who could potentially win it all. But that's my short list. You have a list of 10: Cleveland, Boston, New York, Indiana, OKC, Memphis, Denver, Los Angeles Lakers, plus Milwaukee and Minnesota. And then the list of 6 is just the top 3 teams. You look at the standings right now in each conference, the East and the West: Cleveland, Boston, New York, OKC, Memphis, and Denver. And I guess you can have a list of 8 in between. It's difficult to pin down a clear short list, but the list of teams I think could win is 10, which is a lot, and it's very high, and I understand that, but that's what makes the playoffs fun, and I'm excited to get to that point in the year. We're almost there because I feel like this is about to be another level of an entertaining NBA playoffs on the way, with, in my opinion, 10 total teams that can win it all.